All right, here we go. Welcome back to another Lord of Mysteries read through, and we're gonna reread a chapter. Reread. Wow, I'm already messing up my intro. It's okay. We don't redo intros. We're gonna reread chapter 114 because I rushed the reading because I was low on time, but we're gonna reread it. All right, are you guys ready? Are you guys excited? Chapter 114 is called "The Standards of a Member." All right, you guys ready? Chapter 114 is called "The Standards of a Member." For sure, I'll look into it, Richie. No crude oil. It could be found for some reason. There really wasn't any available. From the period of Emperor Rosal was assassinated till this day, 150 years have passed, and there are. Oh yeah, he was assassinated. About 150 years ago have passed, and there are still no traces of crude oil. Klein pupils constricted as his hands quivered while holding the diary. No crude oil not only meant that the future of the internal combustion engine became uncertain, it would also lead to a state of stagnation in the chemical industry. In other words, Earth's modern industrial age would never transpire here. In short, the development of this world was uncertain and decline. Although he couldn't invest things, he had assumed that he was still at an advantage because he knew a bit of everything and could foresee the direction of technological developments. When he saved enough money, he could make a risky investment on an industry that he thought showed promise. Furthermore, he wouldn't put all his eggs in one basket. Klein thought it was only a matter of time until he could own enormous wealth. By then, he would hire the so-called white gloves as representatives to establish international charity foundations. On the surface, they would provide relief to the poor. In reality, they would actually be establishing and funding in revolt in order to fight against the higher strata of society and enhance the living standards of the people in the lower class. If he were to find a method of returning to Earth, he would segregate his property, a third to Benton, a third to Melissa, and a third to his foundation. However, it was a pity that his perfect vision of the future was instantly half shattered. Oh, no oil, no plastic. Humanity screwed. Yeah, so they need to find oil, right? Luckily, there's still electricity and magnetism in this world. The telegram is a successful example. I should mainly invest in the future. Klein settled down and read down row by row. December 21st, I'm no longer thinking about crude oil anymore. Upgrading my sequence level is what matters, as we should. December 22nd, the filthy environment in Richborough is unacceptable. Oh my god, I can't read. Is unacceptable. If I hadn't visited incognito, I might have never known that it still looks the same as when I was young. I want to gather all my ministers and formulate a capital sewer and public toilet enhancement plan. I have to rectify the people bad habits. Let them boil hot water in consumption. Wash their hands and face frequently. Don't litter. Don't pee and poop anywhere. Use condoms if possible. I thought of what the name of this campaign: the Patriotic Health Campaign. Good name. Hence, the invention of the condom has to be brought forward. Oh, condoms don't exist in this era. Well, isn't it like the 1300s or something? There's also masks, paper cups, and others. Yes, even the most primitive version would do. Give it a try. I have to thank this world that they still have rubber trees. December 23rd, perhaps I should consider the suggestion. Keep a back door for myself outside of the church and the god of craftsmanship. For example, I could join the ancient and mysterious organization which I forgot about this. I could join the ancient and mysterious organization which influences the world from shadow. So there's a secret cult in the shadow. Klein then suddenly realized that there was nothing else at the bottom. His emotions were indescribable. Emperor Rosal, what was the name of the ancient and mysterious organization that was influencing the world from the shadows? Do I know it? How could you stop here? Why didn't you write more? It's just like when I used to read novels. When I read till the end and realize that the author has ended up dropping the novel and patriotic health campaign, the Emperor Rizal sure knows how to have fun. Look at that. There's a fun reference, right? You guys been talking about. The setting is similar in the 1800s, early 1900s now. Yeah, like I've known, right? It's like I've noticed it's very like a Victorian era, right? Since they have things like revolvers and ironclads. Ah, okay. Yeah, because it's like it's kind of like it's almost like steampunky in a way, right? In warships. Yeah, I feel like that's all because of Rosal, right? Like he boosted the civilization, right? He got cliffhanger. Yeah, he did get a cliffhanger. How could you stop here? Why didn't you write more? It's just like when I used to read novels. When I read till the end, I realized that the author ended up dropping the novel in the patriotic health campaign. The emperor sure knows how to have fun. The contents of the diary should have been written after he became the consul of the Intus Republic. He might have already have called himself the Emperor Caesar. He called himself Emperor Caesar because in real life, Emperor Caesar was a real emperor. Ah, and I feel like that's a way for him to hint at future transmigrators of like, oh shit, Emperor Caesar. Like, I know Emperor Caesar. I have to read some books when I get back and flip through historical texts in other countries. I have to see which is the year of the capital sewer and public toilet enhancement plans took place. After his nearly 20 seconds of silence, Klein reined back his thoughts and let the diary in his hands vanish into thin air. You can start your discussion now. Audrey let out a breath of relief, adjusted her state to become a spectator. She smiled faintly and said, I'd like to know if there are any sequence potions named Tribunal or a kind of Beyonder that can go through wooden doors or make locks ineffective. Oh, yeah. There was 2 name drops, right? I know about, like, 2 pathway name drops. I know about this. Enveloped in a grayish-white fog, Klein was going to reply, but the hangman answered first. I need you to help me investigate something in return for the answer. What is it? Audrey asked with interest as well as with puzzlement. After glancing towards the fool, he said, I'd like to know if the king has the intention of taking revenge on the Phasic Empire and launching a new war on the east coast of Balam within the year before June of next year. Why does he need to know that? That's kind of specific too, right? The Terror Club was currently using the Loan language, which was confirmed by the trio accents at the first gathering. Hence, Olger knew this Miss Justice was a noble in the Loan kingdom, while he also believed that Miss Justice knew that he was a Loan. As for the fool, Olger believed that his behavior as a Loan was merely a disguise that would ease the discussion. Ever since the ritualistic magic, Olger started using him to address the fool politely. Audrey recalled everything that she heard from various social events. She nodded confidently and said, no problem, but I would need sufficient time to be certain. I can wait. Olger smiled and said, with Mr. Fool as a witness, I believe you wouldn't go back on your promise. Audrey looked towards the quiet yet mysterious fool, engulfed in gray fog as the corners of her mouth curved upwards. But I think the value of this information is worth more than both questions put together. When you confirm the answer, I'll provide compensation depending on the situation. Olger replied with an answer he prepared beforehand. Miss Justice, Mr. Hangman, do you need virtual currency to determine value? Klein smiled and leaned backwards while he looked at the 2 people before him. Audrey relaxed and cheered for herself in her mind. Ain't no party like a Gustav party. Yeah, no, you guys have been hyping up. Well, I don't know if hyping up is the right word to say, but you guys have been talking about Roselle quite a bit. Well done, Audrey. You learned how to negotiate. Oh, he's so proud of her. Well done, Audrey. You learned how to negotiate. She was so excited that she... Oh, wait, no. Audrey's saying that to herself. She was so excited that she nearly broke out of her spectator state. She quickly thought of something and asked, all right, Mr. Hangman, do you receive the 1,000 pounds? I'm sorry, I'm still sailing. I have yet to return to land. Olger wasn't willing to bring it up. He answered her original question. The Beyonder that can go through wooden doors and foil locks would probably be Sequence 9 Apprentice. Oh, we know Apprentice. The secret organization Theosophy Order has its formula. However, don't ignore the possibility that it was obtained through other channels such as ancient tombs of the 4th epoch. The Theosophy Order, the secret organization that has countless ties with the demonist sect. Klein rubbed his chin with his finger leisurely. Seeing that Mr. Fool didn't refute what was said, Audrey couldn't help but sigh. If I had found the formula for Apprentice before, I might have not opted for Spectator. The performance was simply outstanding. Olger didn't bother with Miss Justice's remark, but continued his explanation. There's also a sequence potion that is entitled the Arbiter. That was a name drop I didn't have. Arbiter. Okay, I have to write that down. Arbiter. It turns out the Augustus... Oh, wait. I lost... No, ain't no way I lost my place. I think you should be familiar with it because it is a sequence pathway of the Augustus and Vena Potter Kingdom Castilla family has. Of course, the low sequence formulas were used as rewards in the ancient tombs. Some nobles might have received it before. Theosophy. Thank you, Richie. Yeah, there you go. Thank you. The Augustus family was a royal family of the Loan Kingdom, while the Castilla family was a royal family of the Vena Potter Kingdom. It turned out the Augustus family are all arbiters. Audrey was enlightened and felt that it cleared up her suspicion. She sighed and thought, it's no wonder I've always gone along with their arrangements, always uncomfortable, always willing to admit defeat, like I'm never myself when I'm before them. I thought it was because I was timid. The Arbiter has a convincing, sharp, and considerable authority, as well as outstanding combat ability that can deal with the unexpected. Olger described the situation simply. Audrey nodded slowly and leaned backwards. She then spoke elegantly. I have no more questions. Olger thought and looked towards the seat of honor long bronze table. Honorable Mr. Fool, I'd like to ask if the true creator's holy residence, the Aurora Order, advocates is the legendary Forsaken Land of the God. I remember that. The Forsaken Land of the Gods. So now, presumably, the 7 gods of the churches have a physical land called the Forsaken Land. Forsaken Lands of the Gods. I have only seen that term once in Roselle's diaries. It might be in secret dockets of the Nighthawks, but it isn't something I know of currently. How do you want me to answer? Klein nearly twitched the corners of his lips. He considered for a while, and then he replied in a calm tone. This is not something you should know now. Olger felt his heart tighten, and he immediately lowered his head and replied, please forgive me for overstepping my boundaries. Audrey wanted to ask for the Forsaken Land of the Gods, but she also gave up. Oh, so she was going to ask about that too. But she also gave up the thought when she heard that. In the lofty divine hall above the Grey Fog, silence suddenly filled the suddenly filled the air. My goat true creator name. Yeah, he's been mentioned a few times now. At that moment, Audrey felt that she should say something. Mr. Fool, if I have the opportunity to join another organization such as the Psychology Alchemist, is it permitted? Forsaken, given up on, so basically the land the gods stopped caring about. Ah, that's why it's Forsaken. Oh, I never knew what Forsaken meant. Common W? the land they stopped caring about. Common W. Yeah, there you go. Klein maintained his posture and leaned backwards as he said from a chuckle, that is no problem. My requirement is that the existence of the Tarot Club is not to be exposed. If you become a member of another organization, the materials and information you can use for exchange will also increase. After saying that, he suddenly recalled that he was also a member of another organization. He was a real Nighthawk, while the Hanged Man was most likely related to the Church of the Lord of Storms. Would my Tarot Club be the so-called Rebels Alliance, the Trader Gathering? Klein was drowning in deep thoughts. I understand now. Audrey was excited, but she immediately thought of a question. Mr. Fool, if I find a suitable gentleman or lady for this gathering, could I guide them to you? How do I do that? I just realized you guys can't hear my music because I have the volume all the way down. I'm so sorry. I understand now. Audrey was excited. Wait. Well, if you become a member of the organization, the materials information. Oh, I skipped a lot. Klein maintained his posture and leaned backwards, and he said, as he said with a chuckle, that is no problem. My requirements is that the existence of the Tarot Club is not to be exposed. If you become a member of another organization, the materials and information you can use for exchange would also increase. After saying that, he suddenly recalled that he was also a member of another organization. He was a real Nighthawk, while the Hanged Man was most likely related to the Church of the Lord of Storms. Would my Tarot Club be the so-called Rebels Alliance, Trader Gathering? Klein was drowning in deep thoughts. I understand now. Audrey was excited, but she immediately thought of a question. Mr. Fool, if I found a suitable gentleman or lady for this gathering, could I guide them to you? How do I do that? Olger thought and asked, Mr. Fool, what is the requirement to be a member of this gathering? How do we determine? Ambitious, ethical, cultured, discipled. 4 words popped into Klein's head instantly. He maintained his silence for a few seconds and only spoke when just as the Hangman appeared a little uneasy. You can inform me here of people who you find suitable. I will decide if they will join us. Before that, you can't give any hint that would cause the secret of the Tarot Club's existence to be exposed. You must remember to non-gathering members. Klein paused and said in a heavy voice, you must not speak my name without permission. What a Chad. What a Chad, dude. What a Giga Chad. All right. Chapter 115 is called Cheat. Guys, later chapter is going to confuse this, man. I've never been confused reading it. I'm going to understand everything 100% first try. Watch, Romero. Watch. You're going to remember this. You're going to remember this moment. I'm going to remember everything. Not once am I going to get confused reading this. Watch me get so lost. You must not speak my name without my permission. Several minutes after the gathering, and then Audrey and Olger, who have returned to their bedroom and ship respectively, could still hear the words of the Fool reverberating in their ears. Their impression of mysterious and powerful Mr. Fool was normally relaxed, calm, and unfathomable. It was rare that he would adopt such a stern, supercilious attitude. Because of that, they were exceptionally alarmed. They submitted to his wishes sincerely. They were no stranger to the words like that, but these instructions were normally recorded with the revelation of Evernight or the Book of Storms. In the west borough of Tengen City or the Foldy Street, Klein put open the curtains and allowed the golden sunlight to pour into his bedroom. He has inspected the star that previously sent out a prayer after justice and the hangman left, but didn't obtain any information of... I'm so lost. But didn't obtain any information to send around. I'm so sorry. Since the Crimson Star has the ability to store prayers akin to sending offline messages, Klein believed that the youth has spoken to Jotun hadn't prayed again for the last 2 times when he entered the world above the giant. This made him suspect that there was no hope left for the youth's... This made him suspect that there was no hope left for the youth's parents and that the young man had chosen to give up. With his back facing the sunlight, Klein walked to the edge of his bed and laid down. He didn't want to move. He knew that he shouldn't waste any time and head to the Divination's Club and continue the process of digesting the potion, but he didn't want to move. He lay silently in his bed, enjoying his rare break. his rare break. He had a full schedule for Tuesday to Friday, mysticism lessons and practicals in the morning, shooting and combat training in the afternoon. He was mentally exhausted by the time the evening came around. There were no change in his morning routine on Saturday, but he had to guard China's Gate in the afternoon. He would have stayed underground until the dawn of Sunday. Sunday morning was the time Klein catch up to sleep. In the afternoon, circumstances would have determined if he went to Divination Club. On Monday morning, Jotun, as in Yuton, it's reference. Oh, I know it's giant's tongue, right? Giant's language, right, Daniel? Jotun, as in Yotun, it's referencing the giants from the Norse myth. No, I figured, right? It was referencing like northern mythology, right? At least for that part when it's talking about giants, right? I played God of War Ragnarok. I played God of War 2018. You know, I understand a little bit of Jotun lore. I got it. On the Monday morning, he had returned from the Koi University. In the morning, he had the Tarot Gathering in the afternoon. He also had to think about the issue of acting as a seer. In other words, he had been busy this entire week with no time to rest. Thus, all Klein wanted to do was lay around lying on the bed like a loser, not doing anything except daydreaming. No, he's chilling, bro. He's just a chill man. Now, how can a boss of the cult be so worthless? If Miss Justice and Mr. Hangman caught wind of this, their impression of me would shatter. Klein buried his face into his blanket and motivated himself. I have a formula for the clown potion. All I need to do now is fully digest the seer potion. I have the formula for the clown potion. All I need to do now is fully digest the seer potion. He muttered to himself and then propped himself up. Klein took a bronze coin from his pocket and quickly divined if it was suitable for him to head to the club today and got a definitive response. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. After the countdown, he forced himself to stand up straight and walked over to the clothes rack before picking up his suit and hat. In the meeting room of the Divination Club on Howes Street, Klein sat down in the shaded corner and sipped on his Sibe black tea as he read the Tingen City honest paper. There weren't many members around him, just 6 or 7. Just as he was laughing at the grammatical mistakes used in the job advertisement, he saw a monocled glasses walk in a silk top hat in his hand. There was a blue dressed lady in his 30s beside him. The lady had curved eyebrows and large yet dull eyes. In his left hand she was carrying an Intis hat decorated with the feathers of a black swan. That hat is ridiculous. Wouldn't her neck be sore wearing that? Klein noted to himself. He looked over and massaged his glabella as he was alleviating his fatigue. Through his spare vision, he noticed that Glaces and the lady were both healthy but were anxious, angry, and flustered. Good afternoon, Glaces. That's Mr. Lanevus. Wasn't a trustworthy fellow, was he? Klein asked with his smile, remaining seated. Glaces had asked him for a divination about investigating in Lanevus Steel Company. Glaces had obtained a negative suggestion, but noticing his indecisiveness, Klein believed that he had taken the risk away. Klein hoped the man hadn't invested everything he had. Thus, Klein immediately made the association judgment when he saw the colors of his emotions. Glaces froze for a moment, then let out a bitter smile. I truly regret not listening to the suggestion you divined for me. This is the second time I'm saying something like that. Let's hope no. I believe that there will be no third time. He turned his head and looked at the lady with some wrinkles. Madam Christina, look, Mr. Moretti had already guessed our motive for coming here without us even speaking. He is the most magical. He literally just went there by sheer coincidence. He is the most magical fortune teller I have ever seen. I am more than willing to describe him as a seer. Good afternoon, Mr. Moretti. We have come here precisely because of the Lanevus. Christina gave a simple bow, clearly anxious and flustered. Shall we head to the topaz? Glaces was more collected. He pointed to the door of the meeting room of Miss Chen. Klein laughed as he got up. This is the job of a fortune teller. He followed the path to the empty topaz room. Glaces looked to the wooden door and walked to his seat while sighing. Lanevus has gone missing. A true seer, even by coincidence. Oh, wait. There are no coincidences. I'm not... Cammy, I have already muted notifications for the spoiler chat and the COI chat because I'm a long way from entering that chat. Klein's pupils were darker than usual when he looked at the two people in front of him. He asked a little curious before making such a magical financial decision. Wouldn't you choose a representative ascertain if whether he said was a... I read that so wrong. Representative and ascertain if whatever he said was true at the Hornicus mountain range in the Civilius County? Christina responded quickly. Our representative was fooled by the people of the Lanevus employed at the place he rented in the land that he was fenced off. Klein didn't question them any further. He maintained his attitude of a seer and asked, what do you wish to divine today? We wish to see if this is salvageable or not. Christina said as she looked at Glacis. Klein took a piece of paper and and a fountain pen? Then let us do an astrolabe divination. I'll ask and you'll answer. Between the questions, Klein marked out the thunderous constellation and the corresponding symbols of various situations before completing the astrolabe. He used more elements in his astrolabe than an ordinary person would have. The method he was going to use to interpret the astrolabe was going to bring him closer to the truth. Madam Seer, you are now at a crossroads. If you don't restrain yourself and succumb to the greed and anxiety, you will fall further into the abyss, never being able to free yourself. But if you can be patient and wait persistently without being greedy, then there will be an opportunity of you seeing sunlight. Klein said his tone hurried. Oh, I muted. I understand. Christina nodded. She thought for a moment before saying, Mr. Moretti. Mr. Moretti, can you divine Livinus' whereabouts? No, I don't think so. The information Livinus left behind is most likely fake. Not even his name might be real. How can I divine anything unless you can give me a very specific detail or an item he carried with him all the time? Klein replied truthfully. Christina fell silent for a moment before pushing a one solely note towards Klein. I have heard from Glacis that you are a true seer who is respectful and fearful of fate and not greedy for money. You can think of the rest as tips that I am giving to the club. Thank you for your confidence in me. She stood up and bade farewell before leaving quickly. Not greedy for money. No, I am a materialistic man. I am a materialistic man. Klein was regretting his actions of acting as a charlatan. Seeing Christina leave, Glacis closed the door and asked, is there really no way? I told you the way just now. Klein smiled as he leaned back. Glacis signed. Levinus took off with 10,000 pounds and his victim totaled over 100 people. Luckily for me, I only lost 50 pounds. Those were my savings and I have no debt. But Miss Christina invested 150 pounds. To her, this is not a sum that she can bear easily. Have you called the police? Klein suddenly felt anger towards the cheat after hearing the sum of 10,000 pounds. Ooh, Ellie. One can be considered rich even in Buckland with money like that. I don't know if the police would enlist the help of the Nighthawks mandated punishers of machinery high-9 for a simple case like this. Klein thought a little distracted. Did you just burp or was that your tummy growling? Oh, that's you growling. Glacis nodded and said, we've already made a police report and the police are paying a lot of attention in this case. After much discussion, we're willing to take out a portion of the money we would get back as reward. One can get 10 pounds as a reward if they manage to provide clues about Livinus' whereabouts. If you can give a precise location and help the police catch Livinus, you can get a reward of 100 pounds. Anything for money, right, Klein? 10 pounds for a clue. He's doing it. He got to do it for the money, man. He needs that to give his family a beautiful life. Anything for Benson and Melissa. 10 pounds for a clue. 100 pounds for catching Lanevus. He's like, I'll fucking do it for 5. Klein's eyes nearly sparkled after he heard that. His breathing became heavy. He happened to be worried about how he was going to pay for the detective in the future. He could barely afford the second phase of the payment with the extra salary of 3 pounds he received this week. But if the private investigator managed to complete his mission within the next week, then he wouldn't have enough to pay off whatever he promised to pay. He would be lacking a few solely, provided that we wouldn't need to spend his savings elsewhere this week. Perhaps the police will have some items belonging to Lanevus, but they won't be very useful if he's already left Tingen. Klein felt a mixture of excitement and disappointment. More money is more money is always good for Klein, dude. Like, he needs it, dude. In the next hour and a half, Klein got another 2 customers due to Angelica's recommendations. One for the divination of a 1-year-old toddler. Klein immediately drew the corresponding birth astrolabe and explained much to the satisfaction of his customer. The other was searching for an item. Klein used a tarot reading coupled with dream divination to give him a general idea. This made his customer very shocked. For her, he had never seen a fortune teller that could give him such accurate information. Perhaps I could have tamed enough funds just by doing divinations for others. Klein, who had received some tips, put on his hat, held his cane, and walked towards the exit of the club. At this moment, he saw Christina enter the club once again with a young girl wearing a sun hat beside her. Christina saw Klein and immediately approached him. She asked softly, Mr. Moretti, you said that you could try divining Lanevus' whereabouts if there were something belonging to him. That is correct, Klein nodded. Christina heaved a sigh of relief and asked in a serious tone, then is his child something that belongs to him? Huh? Klein was momentarily a little lost. Technically, yes. Right? The child would count? Alright. Chapter 116, Livinus' child. Christina didn't notice that the seer blank look. She took a peek at Angelica over at the reception desk, lowered her voice, and said, "I mean, Levinus child." She extended her hand to point at the young lady with the sun hat and said, "This is my niece, Megus. Her mother is my..." He swindled a relative? In audiobooks, he is called Lanevus. Ah, Lanevus. I've been saying Lanevus. I'm over here trying to put like a French or European accent. He's innocent. Look at the smug smirk. But a lot of people read it as Levinus. Oh, let me try it again. Chris. And I said, I mean, Lanevus's child. She extended. I can see that. She extended her hand to the point at the young lady with the sun hat and said, "This is my niece." Oh my goodness, Ellie. I'm right here. I'm right here. Why are you barking at me? I'm right here. Ellie, come here. Okay, so let's try Lanevus child. She extended her hand to the point of the young lady with the sun hat and said, "This is my niece, Megus. Her mother is my older sister. I'm very sorry and regret that I thought Lanevus was an outstanding young man back then. And I introduced Megus to Len. Oh my god, I'm mispronouncing these names. And I introduced Megus to Lanevus, who was a single. Then they became lovers." Why are you biting that, Ellie? Megus' parents were happy with Lanevus at first too. They planned to pour all their savings into the seal company after they got engaged. Luckily, before that happened, Lanevus ran. Luckily, what? Why luckily? Luckily, before that happened. Oh, I lost my place. Was an outstanding young, but then they became Lord Magnus' parents were happy with Lanevus at first too. They planned to pour all their savings into the steel company after they got engaged. Luckily, before that happened, Lanevus ran away. Their family didn't encounter any life-threatening losses. Unfortunately, my sister and brother-in-law have to explain to their relatives and friends why the engagement ceremony will be canceled, and they have to worry about the child that Megus is bearing. We believe in the God of steam and machinery. We are not believers of Lords of Storms. We don't believe in the chastity before marriage. We don't blame Megus and even pity her. However, the existence of the child does make things difficult, especially since he has such a father. He took advantage of people both financially and sexually. Klein looked towards Megus, who was standing quietly next to her. He then realized that the lady was quite a beauty. She had a bright foresight, long blonde hair, and a pair of big eyes just like Christina's. She looked depressed yet calm, and her lips were tightly pursed together. What an infuriating swindler. And he's a swindler himself. And he got away successfully. Klein cursed at Lanevus and said after some thought, "If it was a child that is already born, I don't have a way to divine Levinus' whereabouts using a child as an aid, but unfortunately this would require us to wait a few months. Yes, this might be a reflection of divination results earlier. Be patient and wait, persistent without being greedy. Then there will be an opportunity of seeing the sunlight." A few months, Christina mumbled to herself as she looked towards... as she shook her head. "No, after such a long time, even if we find Levinus, we would have been able to get back our money." She looked sideways to Megus, her voice lowered unconsciously, and she asked, "Do you have anything that Levinus carried around before?" No, Megus answered clearly, yet gently. "Wouldn't the ring he gave me count? It must be something that he carried for a very long time." Klein shook his head. Christina remained silent for a while and looked at Megus when she said, "You have to make a decision. I think keeping this child will make your future tougher and thorny." What? Are you going to tell him that his father was a swindler and took away many people's monies, including his mother's? Time to head to the clinic, to the hospital. Plus, this could help us to find Levinus to get what we lost. Hey, Ivan, isn't such a little divination hardcore? It was not Klein's place to involve himself in the family matters of others, so he could only wait patiently by the side as he lampooned inwardly for the time. Right, Ellie? Megus lowered her lips and looked down at Ellie. She didn't speak for quite a while, Ellie. I love you, Ellie. Then she touched her stomach and revealed a gentle smile. "He is different from her father. He will be a considerate and likable child. He will keep me lightly every day, telling me his mood. He will even hum a song, whistle, and use music to help me sleep." Correct, Ellie? Yes, correct, Ellie. Klein heard and suddenly felt something amiss, Ellie. The former part of what Magoo said seemed to be normal, but the latter part was ravaging of a mad woman. Did she have a mental problem due to the incident? Klein raised his right hand to his glabella. He pretended to massage it to ease awareness. Just then, Magoo suddenly turned around and walked towards the door, leaving only one sentence. Maybe his father will come back in secret after he is born, keeping a part of the money for this child. Klein never expected she would respond like that, and he was momentarily taken aback, but he forgot to activate his spirit vision. Then he watched helplessly as Magoose left the club and walked down the stairs. Oh, LOL? What'd I miss? I think it's easy to read named... I think it's easy to read named in a British accent since Lowen is clearly inspired by Victorian England. Okay, let's try putting accents on it. Let's try putting British accents. Not comfortable with Magoo's pronunciation. We are closer to the end. What about Magoo's? Magoo's. How's that sound? I mispronounce all those fucking names, yeah. Klein nodded indiscriminately. He watched her walk downstairs and sighed as he shook his head. Babies are the only wholesome part of the Yeah, so far they're wholesome. I like it. It's a beautiful little touching moment. The next morning, Klein entered Blackthorn Security Company, greeting Roseanne and asked, "Where's today's newspaper?" The sweet brown-haired girl, Roseanne, sized him up and said, puzzled, "Klein, you're so weird." "Why?" Klein asked in reply, smiling. Roseanne rolled her eyes and said, "You always read the newspapers during noon breaks because you have mysticism lessons in the morning. O'Neill is already waiting for you in the armory. I found out earlier that there would be a case offering a reward, so I want to read the newspaper to memorize the criminal's appearance. Perhaps I must one day come across that person." Klein explained with a smile. Is that so? Is it so? Roseanne picked up the day's newspaper and started flipping through them out of curiosity. Wanted Lanevus, right? Klein, was that a good accent? Megos is how I pronounce it. Megos. It's not Megoose. I know, I'm saying Meg Goose. It's Megos. Megos. Okay. Klein immediately answered yes. Wicked swindler. He stole about 10,000 pounds. Roseanne read carefully for nearly 20 seconds before cursedly settling in rage. Klein shared the same feeling. It's really ridiculous. Even what I want to apply to take over the case. Roseanne continued to read and shook her head regretfully. The case doesn't seem to involve supernatural factors. Even if it did, it would be passed to mandated punishers under the Lord of Stores. Klein didn't quite understand what Roseanne meant, but after he took the newspapers and read it, he sighed. Yeah, there were so many people cheated. There must be believers from all three major churches in Lanevus. Steelwork Company was said to be located in the south. Thank you, it helped a lot. Oh, gotta respect the grind. If a case was related to supernatural factors and involved only the believer of one god, it would be passed to the corresponding team. However, it involved believers of the Evernight Goddess, Lord of the Storms, and the God's Team Machine. Oh, because it's from all parties. It would be assigned based on jurisdiction area. The Nighthawks controlled the Golden Indus Borough, the North Borough, the West Borough. The mandating punishers controlled the East Borough, South Borough, and the port, while the machinery hive mind troops were responsible for the university and suburb areas. As he flipped through the newspapers, Klein memorized Levin's appearance. He had a plump forehead, black hair, brown eyes, and a pair of spectacles with almost round lens. He smirked faintly, looking as though he was mocking everyone. Besides the pair of spectacles, Lanevus didn't seem to have any obvious traits and looked really ordinary. He chatted with Roseanne casually, then passed through the partition in preparation to head underground. Then he saw the pale and cold corpse collector Friar and the white-haired, black-eyed author Sika Tron. Is this a new character? Then he... Not Friar. Then he saw the pale and cold corpse collector Fry and the white-haired, black-eyed author Sika. Or was it Faye Sika? This is the book author from the 2 chapters ago, right? Exited entertaining the room and turned towards him. After a simple greeting, Klein watched his two teammates leave. Oh, never mind. Teammates. Klein watched his two teammates leave and discovered Dunsmith and a black windbreaker standing by the side of the door he opened. There's a case. No, you met them before? Okay. Klein asked curiously, at that time of day, there wouldn't be two Nighthawks heading out together for no reason. Dunn looked over with his gray eyes. He nodded and smiled. There seems to be a paranormal incident in Westboro. I've sent Sika and Friar to check on it, but you don't have to worry about that. Until you master combat techniques, I don't intend to send you on any missions. I have to take responsibility for my team members. No, not book author from 2 chapters. That's... Oh, Fours is somebody else. Got it. Fours... Okay, yeah, Fours Wall is a different... That's the female author. I remember her. Okay, 2 different people? There's a wannabe author on the Nighthawks, and Forge, who is the author and knows Audrey. Got it. Yeah, okay, that I mixed them up. Oh yeah, so those are two different people. I like how Red is like that. That's a fake. It's the wannabe. I have to take responsibility for my team members. Captain, you are such a nice person. Besides the receding hairline and bad memory, you are flawless. Klein complimented inwardly. He asked for confirmation. In other words, I only need to attend masochism classes and combat training. I don't have to contribute anything, and I can still get my pay. This is only temporarily. Done confirmed. I only need to attend classes and work out. I'll get an ample paycheck. It's great just thinking about it. Klein thought happily. I hope there are no more coincidences. He prayed in silence. Right, Ellie. Correct, Ellie? The days passed peacefully until Friday. Klein completed his combat training and took a carriage back to Basic Street. Outside Henry's private detective company, he looked to the left. The one trying to find the red chimney. Right? Confirmed that no one was watching him. He put on the geese mask. He lifted up the collar of the windbreaker and quickly entered the stairway. Knocking on the door, Klein saw the middle-aged, brawny man, Detective Henry, again. Good afternoon, sir. One of the cases that you entrusted with us is done? The deep blue-eyed Detective Henry spoke with a hoarse voice from drinking and smoking. Klein initially lowered his voice and said, is this the information of the man that appeared at the Evil Dragon Bar? The man that brought the Spectator Potion supplementary ingredients. Yes. Henry waved his smoking pipe. Then he didn't say anything but looked at Klein with a smile. Klein understood what Klein... Fucking Ellie, you keep licking me. That's so gross. Klein understood what that man meant, and he took out 4 one-pound notes and handed it over. This is the second payment. He paused and added, write me a receipt. His private stash of money has been reduced to less than £1. No problem, Henry coughed. He checked the anti-counterfeiting marks on the notes and instructed his staff to bring over the pen and paper. Then he beckoned to Klein for him to have a seat while quickly wrote a receipt and stamped a seal on the bottom. After completing everything, Henry took a puff of his pipe and said, according to your description, my assistant and I waited at the Evil Dragon Bar for 3 days before finally meeting that man. He's quite an alert gentleman and is good at observation. Thankfully, we're experienced. His name is Daxter Guderian, a doctor of the Green Hill Mental Asylum. Oh. Okay. That sounds hype. All right, chapter 117 is called Contact. I thought this is Dexter. Daxter Guderian, a doctor of the Green Hill Mental Asylum. Are we going to an asylum in this arc? Klein silently repeated what the detective had said and started to think about the ways he could interact with the doctor who he suspected to be a specter from the Psychology Alchemist. He didn't want to... Psychology Alchemist at a mental asylum? That's a good way to act, right? He didn't want to take too much of a risk on this matter. He didn't want the Nighthawks to discover that he was problematic. He didn't want to lose the life he had now over a mere exchange of information and resources. Furthermore, this person was most probably a spectator. Anyone who hadn't undergone special training wouldn't be able to hide their motives and thoughts from a person like that. I'll get a proxy, making me appear a little more mysterious. No, the more people involved, the easier it is for there to be a problem. Yes, perhaps I can hide the truth within the truth. I'll let the doctor know my thoughts and feelings through my expression and body language, but not the whole truth. As Detective Henry described, Dr. Guderian, Klein thought about what methods he could use to minimize the risk without affecting the results he wanted. Slowly, he found inspiration in a detective film he had once seen. Spectator, not specter? What did I say? That's what I said! Spectator, not specter. That's what I said! I was saying spectator this whole time. Yeah, just like Audrey. That's what I meant. My bad, I'm sorry. I can't lie to you guys. My bad. Well, I can try that, but I'll have to practice it repeatedly. Klein nodded inwardly before directing his full concentration on Detective Henry had to see. Cough. Henry cleared his throat and said, we are still working on the request involving the red chimney. You should know that there are many buildings in Tengen that had similar characteristics. Of course, it would be much easier if you could provide us with more clues. Klein laughed dryly. I wouldn't have had to make the request if I had more clues. Honestly, this long investigation had depressed him, for the person behind the scenes had obviously noticed Klein's divinations and had more than enough time to find another hideout. Thus, all he could do was hope that he could find relevant clues from the information of the tenants, and that alone cost £7. Whew, that's expensive, man. I said it again? You keep saying Spectre? There's no fucking way I said it again. There's no way I said it again. All right, let's see what happens when it pops out again. There's no way I said that again. That was sheer accident, my bad. And that alone cost £7. Just the thought of him made him feel the pinch. Klein grabbed his cane and left after Detective Henry finished his report. At 20 minutes to 9 on Saturday morning, it's already Saturday. It's almost time for the next meeting. In an office of the Green Hill Mental Asylum, Daxter Guderian, who was wearing a gold-rimmed spectacles, removed his jacket and hat and hung them on the clothes rack. He had just picked up his tin of coffee powder when he heard knocking on the door. Please come in, Daxter said cautiously. The half-closed door opened and a young man wearing a black windbreaker entered. Daxter didn't recognize the person that walked in, so he asked, puzzled, "Good morning, you are?" Klein closed the door, took off his hat, and pressed it against his chest before bowing. "Good morning." "Hi, Ellie." "Good morning, Dr. Daxter. Please forgive me for taking the liberty to visit without any warning. I am a probationary Inspector Klein Moretti of the Ottawa Police Department. These are my identification documents and badge." Inspector Daxter muttered softly as he received Klein's identification documents and badge. "Special Operations Department." He looked up slowly, his eyes calmed as he was scrutinizing something. Short black hair, pupils slightly darker than brown, a scholarly aura, no ill intent at the moment. Daxter returned the item and pointed to the chair on the other side of the table. "Please have a seat, officer. How may I assist you?" Klein sat down and placed his cane on the side. He slowly put away his documents and badge and spawned. "Please allow me to reintroduce myself. I am also a member of the Tigan City Nighthawk Squad, specializing in dealing with incidents involving supernatural." "Good morning, Mr. Spectator." Oh, I love Death Note. Do you watch Death Note? I've seen Death Note like 3 times, man. Klein's always showing basic courtesy. Yeah, he is, man. He badoons people, he lampoons people, and he shows courtesy. Before he finished his sentence, he wasn't surprised to see Dexter's pupils constrict. Daxter retracted his hand, looking like he was about to escape. "Officer, I understand what you mean." Daxter forced out a few words, almost unable to maintain his form. "I don't like jokes like this. Perhaps I should call security." Klein slowly took out his revolver from his armpit holster, his smile unchanging. "Mr. Daxter, I know that you can see my confidence and that I do not have any ill intent. Heh? Honestly speaking, I wasn't too sure myself, but your reaction gave me the answer needed." "Every sentence I said just now is true," Klein added to his heart. Daxter released slightly, his gaze shooting towards the revolver. He asked, confused, "Oh, so he's... Oh, shit! He's trying to throw him off by saying that to himself." "I find it hard to understand why you came looking for me. I don't think I revealed anything." Klein laughed and replied, "It's just a coincidence. Perhaps fate wanted us to meet. We ran into each other once in the underground market at Evil Dragon's bar, but you didn't notice me back then. You were smart to purchase the supplementary ingredients from the potion first, but since I am familiar with that formula, you caught my attention." Daxter suddenly exhaled, as if he just lost the motivation to defend himself. "I see. I thought I was careful enough, but to think that..." After muttering himself, he looked into Klein's eyes and said, "Officer, I know that you are not here to arrest me. What is your true motive for being here?" Ooh, that's so good, dude. With a relaxed expression, Klein said, "I am different from the other Nighthawks. I don't believe that Beyonders, not within our ranks, are criminals in the making. This is not fair to those who adhere to the laws." Daxter changed his posture. He loosened up and said, "The world would be at peace if other Nighthawk mandated punishers and machinery hive minds acted like you. You know of other members from Nighthawk's mandated punishers and machinery squad hive mind." Klein feigned surprise. "This is not something a person who became a Beyonder by mistake should know. There must be an organization behind you." He leaned back and said with a smile, "Psychology alchemist." He casually watched Daxter's expression contort as he said those words. "I could see that you were anticipating my answer, yet I still missed the bait and fell into your linguistic trap," Daxter said in frustration. He started to notice that the spectator state wasn't omnipotent. He could tell why the other party was here, but it didn't mean that he understood the specifics. Klein stroked the cylinder of his revolver and said, "Doctor, we need to have an honest conversation. That can start with me. I don't believe that Beyonders not under management are potential criminals, but I agree that every Beyonder must be registered and monitored. There's a precaution against the risk of Beyonders losing control. It's to avoid the occurrence of something even more dangerous. I won't disrupt your normal life, but I hope that there can be a limited cooperation between us." "Limited cooperation?" Daxter asked, as if thinking he's gonna help him with the potion. Daxter asked, as if thinking about something. Klein let out a soft chuckle. "Yes, limited. For example, tell me about your condition regularly. You should know that it is possible to save someone who has not completely lost control yet." Sorry, I burped. "And the Nighthawks had considerable experience in this regard. Or if you could give me clues of a Beyonder you know or Beyonder in your organization who is about to do something that can endanger the innocent." Oh, okay. Or if you would like to exchange something for items you can make more use of, this is a perk I'm giving you. You should know what perks I mean. Also, you need not to worry about being suddenly prosecuted by members of the Nighthawks, mandated punishers, machinery hive mind one day. You can live your life in joy and stability. Klein stroking his gun while he talks. This guy's crazy, dude. Klein fucking with a spectator. Generational actor. He's an amazing actor, dude. One could say he's going to be a good clown by the end of this volume, maybe. We will give you something you can use to prove your identity. You can use it when you have no other options left. Daxter listened on silently. It was a while before he said, "You want me to betray my organization?" "No, not betray," Klein said sincerely. "This is the protection of justice, morals, and kindness. You are stopping something evil, merciless, and bloody. Other than that, I wouldn't ask you to betray the secrets of the organization you are in." Daxter thought for a moment, as if feeling better now that there was an excuse. He was silent for a few seconds before he extended his right hand. "Here's to successful cooperation." Klein shook his hand with his free hand and said, "A successful cooperation." He paused for a moment before chuckling. "Doctor, can you tell me now if you are a member of the Psychology Alchemist?" "Yes," he nodded. Klein, who hadn't deactivated his spirit mission since he entered, didn't see any changes in the colors of emotions. "Does yes, directly. How did you join the Psychology Alchemist?" Daxter looked into his eyes and said, "I discovered that there was a patient of this asylum who could see right through me when I was tending to him. His clear mind was nothing like a lunatic. His name is Hood Eugene." Klein committed the name to memory and chatted with Daxter a little longer, deciding on a secret way to communicate and meet up. He didn't exchange matters regarding potion formulas and rumors for the time being. At an appropriate moment, he bade farewell and put away his revolver before leaving Daxter's office. Right, Ellie? Yeah, correct, Ellie. Dexter exhaled after he saw Klein's back disappear from his field of vision. He slumped into the chair, feeling a little agonized and a little relaxed. 30 Zotland Street, inside Blackthorn Security Company. Seated behind his desk, Dunn swept the area with his gray eyes and asked, "What happened?" Klein, who was late about half an hour, organized his thoughts and said, "Captain, I found him beyond her and confirmed that he is a member of the Psychology Alchemist. He's an Orthodox doctor and is willing to cooperate with us. I think it's best to maintain the status quo. He could help us learn more about the current edition of the Association of the Psychological Alchemy." After pausing for a few seconds, Klein added, "I want to develop him into an informant for the Nighthawks or a hidden external member." The word informant came from the Intis language. It was created by the Emperor Zell. That word didn't exist in this world? Dud nodded slowly and said, "You handled the situation well, but it would be best to inform me when you face this situation in the future. Give me that doctor's information and written account of the way you handled the situation. I will give him something he can use to prove his identity. Also, don't speak of this to Leonard and the rest. Even though they are trustworthy teammates, the protocol clearly requires us to keep this close. You will be in charge of contacting the doctor in the future." Klein exhaled silently and replied with a smile, "All right." Oh, what the fuck? They're not telling them. That's only Whoa. So that's going to only be between the two of them and the informant. Oh, shit. So not even the Nighthawks are going to know that there's an informant spectator that's working for the Psychology Alchemist. Damn, that's badass. Now that's a fucking informant. Okay. All right. Chapter 118. Whew. It's called August. Are we in? We're not in August. I'm over here like, oh, because we're in August. We're in December, my guy. I'm off. Time flew by and Tigan bade farewell to the end of summer. The temperature hovered between 26 and 27 degrees Celsius. Praying for PoE downfall. Yeah, so I can read more Lord Mysteries? Whoosh. Klein stood up from the bathroom and took a stride forward, sending water droplets to the floor. He stood there naked, looking down at his abs. He flexed and saw prominent muscles lines appears. Wait, hold up, Romero. If servers are down on Friday, it's technically not PoE's downfall. It's them rising up because so many people are trying to get in that just servers blew up. They're on fire. I mean, we'll see. He stood up there. Oh, Klein stood up from the bathtub and took a stride forward, sending water droplets to the floor. He stood there naked, looking down on his abs. He flexed and saw prominent muscles lines appear. Oh, what a Giga Chad, bro. Oh, man, what a badass. That was the result of his daily training. Besides, he appeared a lot more energetic. Ooh, man, that's me in the mirror. I'm like, yeah. Whenever I see my triceps pop out, I'm like, I get him. I relate to this guy. And just today, his combat teacher, Gawain, had started teaching him the basic footwork for punching, the techniques for delivering force. Tap, tap, tap. Klein stepped on the floor, barefooted in the bathroom, either sliding forward or retreating before dodging to the right swinging his fist while he made a defensive gesture. He stopped and let out a breath happily. He took the towel next to him and wiped himself down. After getting in touch with Daxter Guderian, the doctor in his mental asylum, Klein seemed to escape the coincidences for 2 whole weeks. I don't know, man. I think it's a coincidence that he didn't run into coincidences these past 2 weeks. Without the constant barrage of supernatural incidents, his life became stable. He received his paycheck on time, researched mysticism in depth, trained his marksmanship and fighting skills, developed new cooking recipes, slowly gathering decent utensils and decorations with Benson and Melissa, asking his teammates about supernatural cases in the past, divined for people who came to the clubs and strictly follow the principles he figured out. That made him more stable if it wasn't for the late nights in which he still missed Earth. The red chimney that had yet to be uncovered, or the misfortune of cloth puppets pictures that still appeared in his dreams occasionally, he would have started getting used to his current life and thinking of it affectionately. During that time, 3 Tarot Club gatherings were convened, but Klein didn't receive any new pages of Roselle's diaries. Oh, wait, time passed. Daily life of Klein Moretti. Hold up. We're having like a little 2-week time jump. I just noticed that, dude. During that time, 3 tarot gatherings were convened, but Klein didn't receive any new pages of Roselle's diary. However, according to Justice's explanation, she had gotten to know 2 Beyonders and she was getting in touch with them consistently. When she got into their circle of acquaintances, it was likely that she could trade for more pages of Roselle's diaries. The hangman also expressed that he had returned to the land. He was dealing with some matters. He would have begun looking for more as soon as he had more free time. Besides, Justice felt that the 2 Beyonders, who she knew were potential targets to join the gathering, they both have decent identities as covers with certain but different channels of information, as well as principles and unique characteristics. They were not the kind of people that would sell out a secret. The only problem was that they were only Sequence 9 Beyonders, which wasn't too suitable for a high-end secret organization like the Tarot Club. Shut up, man. Audrey is literally a Sequence 9 herself. It's been 3 weeks? Okay, yeah, Leonard is a good guy, but maybe he's too much of a good guy. Maybe he's too much of a good night lord, and that's why we can't let our guard down. Remember at the harbor fight, he was eyeing Klein this whole time, but like he was oh, I was waiting to jump in, but you handled it well this whole time. Nah. The whole time he was like watching to see in secret, and that was his cover answer. I went to college with Leonard. He's my best friend. He would never be a traitor. He even wrote me a poem. All right, I believe you. All right, so he's not a high-end, bruh. The leader's high-end, bruh. The leader's a sequence sign, dude. High-end secret organization sounds more like it's a fucking Ponzi scheme, dude. It's a pyramid scheme. High-end secret organization sounds more like a pyramid scheme. Oh shit, it's written 2 weeks without coincidence, and yo, I didn't realize it's been 2 weeks. Such a badoon. It's been such, like, it's a coincidence that they went 2 weeks without coincidence. Whose poem he's plagiarizing now, Richie? Yeah, he probably plagiarized Mozart or something, dude. Right? High-end, wait, no, that's a musician. That's a composer. I'm dumb. My bad. I'll shut up. High-end secret organization sounds more like a pyramid scheme. Klein only let out a heavy sigh to cover up the fact that he was at a loss for words to reply to Miss Justice's complacency. He could only agree to observe the 2 Beyonders further. Of course, Justice wasn't an innocent romantic maiden from before. She kept her guard up and never mentioned her names and traits of the 2 Beyonders. She was afraid that the hangman would be able to identify her through that. Miss Justice said that she clearly feels the signs of the potion digesting. She might need another 3 to 4 weeks until she completes her acting as a spectator. My scheduled acquisition of the telepathist formula has to be brought forward. Klein threw aside the towel that he used to dry himself and put on his clothes as he thought about the Terror Club about the day before. In the last 20 days, he had only met Daxter Guderian once. He had the idea of haste makes waste, so he merely chatted about the doctor's state and asked unimportant matters about the psychology alchemist. Given the speed with the justice with... Oh my god, I'm reading so wrong today. I'm so sorry. Given the speed with which Justice was digesting the potion, he had no choice but to begin thinking about how to get the formula of Sequence 8 telepathist from Daxter earlier. Klein buttoned his shirt and took another dry towel to wrap around his head and absorb the water in his hair. So cool. Compared to Justice, he was digesting the seer potion even faster than expected. By this week, the sounds that he shouldn't hear and things that he shouldn't see had already vanished. Oh, so he's fully digested it. Klein's wet towel. Yes, yes, indeed, Romero. By this week, the sounds that he shouldn't hear and things he shouldn't see had already vanished while engaging in cogitation or spirit vision. Flipping over the towel, Klein dried his hair again. Klein lifted his head to look at the door and muttered to himself, "The seared principles that I figured out are already efficient. Next week, I should be able to digest the potion entirely by next week. I have no idea where to get the single horn of a matured Hornicus Gray Mountain Goat and a complete stock of a human-faced rose required by the clown formula. Maybe I could do as Lady Dally did and send in a special application. But that would definitely attract the attention of the higher-ups, and I want to develop at my own pace. Not fully digest, just so he's like almost there. So since he's almost there, he wants to get the clown potion ready, right? He's just missing like the high-end ingredients. Damn, man, he just has to keep running the dungeons and hopefully the item drops, bro. The believer from the Aurora orders the police department was found too, but I have yet to find out who this it's Mr. Zara Tool, bro. The believer of the... He's literally still alive. Watch there be like immortality with him or whatever. The believer from the Aurora Order and the police department was found too, but I have yet to find out who this Mr. Z is. Henry said that he would complete the red chimney task before the end of the week. My private stash of money has returned to slightly more than £7, so at least I don't have to worry about making the final payment. Some of the information on houses and tenants and that he provided before didn't seem to have any abnormalities. But I have no time. That I realized I didn't update my chapter. And I lost my place doing that. So let's reread from here. Some of the information of the houses and tenants that he provided before didn't seem to have any abnormalities. But I have no time to investigate them one by one. Perhaps I could see which red chimney houses have gotten new tenants recently. Huh? That's one way to look at it. Sitting silently for another half minute, he put on his black trousers, bow tie, and armpit holsters. He then picked up his sweaty night training suit from the floor and tossed it into the laundry basket. He opened the door and exited the bathroom. He had just finished his Wednesday afternoon combat training, and he was still at his teacher's Gawain's place. "Hello, Mr. Moretti." Gawain's maidservants happened to pass by, and she quickly bowed. "Bruh, if only we can get ingredients from dungeons. This is not like..." No, I wasn't referencing solo leveling. I was referencing Path of Exile. And just JRPGs in general, Romero. Nothing is free. Yeah, no. Yeah, we don't have a convenient plot device here like that. No! No, we're not talking. There shall be no solo... There shall be no manwha... There shall be no manwha slander in this chat. That breaks my heart. It breaks my heart when we're divisive like this, guys. We gotta we gotta be together as a family, man. We need order in the family, guys. We need peace, love, and positivity here, guys. Oh, man. Hello, Mr. Murray. Gawain's main servant happened to pass by, and she quickly bowed. Klein nodded slightly and pointed at the messy bathroom. "Could you clean this up, please?" "Oh, of course." "Oh, of course, sir." "The clothes will be taken care of the laundry maid. She'll come over at 6. The maidservant held her head low when she answered. Laundry maids have no accommodations or food included, so they weren't hired by only one household. They were morally contracted to handle the laundry from several households. Either they rushed around daily, washing one household's clothes before going to the next, or they would gather all the clothes from different households and take care of all of it at the same time before sending it all back. Only then they could barely make a living. Only time me and Cammy come together is to hate still leveling." I love and hate that. No, but I love you guys. But it breaks my heart that you guys slander SL like that. But it's okay. We still love each other. Klein didn't say much, but returned to the living room to bid farewell to the owner, who was sitting on the rocky chair. He saw Gawain nodding lethargically at a light brown blanket covering his legs and the Awa Evening News in his hands. Klein knew for a fact that the gentleman bathing in the sun's glow was in his early 50s, but his listlessness made him seem like he was already in his 80s. During combat training, Gawain maintained his silence and only gave pointers when he needed to. He wasn't one for casual chatting. Klein was so exhausted from the daily training that he had no intention of trying to engage in conversation. Thus, their relationship remained distant. From his demonstrations, teacher Gawain's strength is still quite terrifying, and his steps are swift too. I reckon it wouldn't be a problem for him to fight 3 of me. He has to pay for the police station, and he also bought a plot of land in the village of the Tinkin suburbs that provided a fixed rental. He hires a chef, a maidservant, and a laundry maid. In the foodaholic empire of Earth, a man in his 50s with such wealth would have been traveling the world. Klein looked away from Gawain and shook his head. Then he went to the clothes rack and take down his top hat and black windbreaker. After he tidied himself up, he took his cane and exited the house. He walked along the weed-covering stone path towards the gates. Just then he saw that there was a two-wheeled carriage stopped outside the metal fence, and there was a man with a familiar face standing next to it. Leonard is sus. Ah, look, I told you guys, he's back. He's sus, man. He wants to see who the informant is. Klein. Leonard, Klein muttered, looking suspiciously towards his messy-haired Nighthawk's teammate. Leonard was dressed in a white shirt, black trousers, and a buttonless leather boots. Wow. That guy has fashion. As he twirled his hat in his hands. Whoa, he's so cool. When he saw Klein come out from house, he smiled and asked, "Are you pleasantly surprised?" Only surprised without any joy. Klein ignored Leonard's inappropriate behavior and looked into the fake poet's green eyes. What happened? Leonard put on his hat and said, "Captain wants you to work with me and Friar. The corpse collector, right? Let's talk about it on the way." All right, Klein followed him into the carriage. As the scene outside of the carriage flew past, Leonard took up the documents bag by his side and threw it at Klein. Klein got it steadily and took out a document. He then started reading carefully. August 11 at 11 p.m. at a workhouse in Westboro, the bankrupt Sullis attempted arson to cause a tragedy, but at the end, he only managed to burn himself to death. Whew. August 11, 10 p.m., so this is before. Harbor worker Zid jumped into the Tusuk River and ended his poverty-stricken life. Oh, shit. Oh, you're heading out? Take care, dude. Anyways, I can't say bye. No, it's all good. Fucking SSDV. It's still is mid. Anyways, I can't say bye. I love you guys. I love you guys. I love solo leveling until the day I die. I will always love solo leveling. It's okay. I love you guys. August 11th at 8 p.m., Iron Cross Street, Lower Street, Miss Lois, who earned a living by selling matchboxes, died of a sudden disease. What the fuck are all these reports? Klein was puzzled when he read the first two incidents. He found the deaths very ordinary and common. Not only should it have been beneath their attention of Nighthawks, even the police force would avoid wasting resources looking into such obvious causes of death. However, when he read down the list, he slowly caressed his eyebrows. After 2 pages, he suddenly lifted his head and looked at Leonard. Isn't this too many? Oh. When the number of ordinary deaths reaching a staggering amount, it was difficult to call it normal. For once, Leonard nodded seriously and said, "The number of deaths incidents within the past 2 weeks are 5 times the normal rate." When the Tigan Police Headquarters tabulated the data, they realized the problem and quickly passed it over to us, as well as the mandated punishers and the machinery hive mind. I always thought all those factions were against each other, but it looks like they all kind of work in unison within Tingan City, right? Although these death incidents appear normal during initial investigations, Captain believes we should investigate them once more. It might require the help of divination and ritualistic magic. Klein said with a look of enlightenment, "I understand." Leonard slapped his fingers and said, "You, me, and Friar are in teams." He's with and then since he's a corpse collector, he can ask the corpse questions, right? He's waiting for us at Iron Cross Street, Lower Street. Sika Royale and Old New York are on another team, investigating corresponding incidents in North Borough. Captain is staying in the security company to respond to all emergencies. To sub, my autocorrect changed. Sometimes autocorrect just goes crazy, dude. Okay, Klein nodded solemnly and suddenly thought of something. He quickly asked, "Can I drop by my place and leave a note?" He had to tell his brother and sister he couldn't dine at home this night because something had cropped up. Leonard laughed. "No problem, it's on the way." With that, Klein clamped down and read over the death incidents again, intending to find a link among the various names, times, and causes of death. They're all like 1 hour apart, right? Then he suddenly realized something. Is this my first group mission after becoming a Nighthawk? Oh, it's the first group mission. Oh, look at that. Oh, wait, since we finished it, what was that, Nazir? The churches are kind of like guilds, so they fight the bad guys, but they all want to be number one. Okay, a guild like it. I got you, Nazir. To put it in solo leveling terms. I was about to say that. So in solo leveling terminology, they're all different guilds working in Korea, but they all fighting the bad guys. They're all clearing gates, but they all still have their rivalry. They're against each other, but they all have an overall mission to close the gates. Thank you. I love it. I love it. Thank you. We will never stop talking about solo leveling. We will talk about it until you guys love it. Right, Romero? SSDV? Oh, I know he headed out. I like it, dude. That was fun. That honestly felt kind of short and sweet. I know. I'm sorry we only read for like about an hour. But we'll be back tomorrow. I'm going to read some manhwa off stream. Update the chapter reactions as quickly as I can. And then we will continue more read-throughs of Lord of Mysteries. So, We hit 902 subscribers this week. That was crazy, man. Before I went on stream, we were at 899, and now we're at 902. So thank you to the 3. Romero, never, ever, ever getting back together. And the whole point of that song, Romero, was that they eventually do get back together. Solo leveling can cure my insomnia. Isn't that a good thing? Oh wait, no, that's not. It puts you to sleep. You're fucking funny, Rivero. Yeah, those were fire chapters. We learned a lot, bro. So I am editing my notes off stream. I'm kind of going through chapters, and when the chapters are a little bit too long, I'll quickly glance at chapter summary just to make sure there's any info I missed. I add it to my notes. But we've been doing pretty good, man. All right, guys. I'll see you guys tomorrow at the same time. We'll be waiting for the Audrey cosplay if we hit 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year. So if you guys want to see me in an Audrey cosplay, and if I chicken out and use a Klein outfit, Klein cosplay, make sure you like, comment, sub, share the video, like the video, comment on the video. What is it that people say on YouTube? It helps the algorithm to get spread more, right? See you guys. Yeah, see you guys. All right, guys. Peace. And have a beautiful day. All right, guys. I'll see you guys tomorrow, same time. All right. Later, guys.